Frick, it was a bit of a surprise when the Minister, Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, said in Parliament today that unless Denel gets a bailout, it will not be able to continue operations. I mean, a few weeks ago, the CEO highlighting that the firm was firmly in place to work on its turnaround plan and really didn't need money from government.
Yeah, Billy, what the CEO said is simply not correct. We've been in negotiations with them since June. We've had discussions with the Department of Public Enterprises. We've been in connection with the Minister. And on the cards was, even before we got the court order, on the cards was that the state needs to intervene against the background that they are the only shareholder in terms of the Company Act responsible for Denel. And what the CEO says that they're not looking for a bailout from government against the backdrop that this month, again, they will only be able to pay 17% of our members' salaries and no medical aid or pension fund or tax, any of those issues that they are responsible to makes what the CEO says incomprehensible.
And it's a little bit worrying, isn't it?
From our side, we are doing what we can. The contempt of court order will be in court on the 3rd of December. Then Denel must come and explain why they are not doing what they need to do. We are also approaching the court during the course of next week for an execution order. But it's so. If the state doesn't bail them out, there's no future for them now. And that's quite scary from where we sit, because we know, for example, what happens in northern Mozambique with ISIS doing what they are busy with, Denel being the supplier of ammunition for police and as well as defense force and our defense capability, that paints a bad sort of picture in the absence of an institution like Denel.
Frick, I just want to jump in here and just talk about a worrying factor when you mention what you've just said. Is it not worrying that maybe the management of Denel could be misleading the shareholder when they say that the turnaround plan is actually being put in place and has been initiated to really get Denel on a better footing? Are we seeing that maybe Denel's standing is a lot worse than has been explained to us?
Well, let me just move to the space before the new acting CEO stepped into the picture. The previous CEO and organized labor was part of that, as well as the government. We have agreed in an effort to prevent the court route, to discuss the turnaround plan. When the board chairperson attended this meeting, she claimed she knew nothing about this turnaround plan, nothing. Elements of this turnaround plan was that government must approve certain export licenses on which they have it's been sitting for months at end. Long story short, we believe that was one of the reasons why the previous CEO resigned, and we've lost a very capable person at that stage. I'm not saying the present one is not capable, but saying that Denel doesn't need state intervention is absolute nonsense.
Frick, just a final thought from you. Why is Denel not able to carry out these contracts that it has with clients locally and globally? I mean, this is one thing that could bring you revenue, but even that Denel is not able to carry out. You're not able to meet your obligations. What is happening in that regard?
They need permits from the government to export, to be able to render the contracts and the services they have contracts for.
But Frick, if government wants Denel to survive and thrive, why is it not issuing these permits that you say are necessary for you to carry out your work as members, or employees of Denel?
Well, they had reasons. If you will know, so one of the reasons was they wanted to inspect where these weapons would have been deployed, and so forth and so forth. But the point is, if we need Denel to survive, they must be able to do business, and they are not being placed in a space where they can deliver on the work they have. The other big problem at Denel, which is not in the public sort of eye, is the fact that they've lost specialist knowledge. Members have resigned. It's specialized skills. If and when they are able to do business again, we don't know where the knowledge will come from.
Sure, I thought I might get a little bit more clarity into the situation into Denel, but Frick, I'm really worried about the state of the firm, and hopefully a decent way forward can be found. That is Frick van Straten, who's from the United Association of South Africa.